Hi everyone, my name is Charlie, and today I want to discuss outgrowing books. And basically, the reason I want to do this is because I just mentioned it a lot in the wrap-up of my reading vlog for December week 2, and I thought maybe I do have some more thoughts on it. So over the last month, since I saw since I saw Sam over at Thoughts on Terms video regarding unhauling books, I have been looking at my shelves a lot more. And it has been my wish for quite a few years now to not have a ton of unread books on my shelves, and so I am constantly unhauling and rearranging, and if I don't like a book, I am giving it away. I did sell my absolute darling, but really it may as well have been given away because I made no money on that. But I didn't finish reading. I got halfway through Dash and Lily's Book of Dares by Rachel Cohn and David Levithan last week and stopped reading. Now, I know the first time I read this book, I read it in one sitting, because I used to do that quite a lot. I'd reached this point during university where I was trying to read about 3 short books a day. So I might have read this at the same time as some other young adult fiction. And at the time, if I was able to read a book quickly, then I was more likely to give it a higher review, because to me a fast read meant that something was a good read. And certainly my memories of reading this book the first time round, I would have to go back through 6 years of journals to find out when I read this book. But it may have been about 2011, I might have been 19, but I'll have a look and write the original year in the down bar. But it's been quite a long time since I read that book, and I read it this time simply because it's a festive book. It's set from the 21st of December through to New Year. I think I never actually got to the end this time, so I don't know when the book finishes. And I found it not tedious. I didn't find it tedious. I think that the book was written well for its target market, and I think that it captured that sense of a romantic comedy that it was trying to, especially a romantic comedy set at Christmas time, and was a bit reminiscent of a Hallmark movie, or, you know, kind of in a similar vein to Easy A in terms of style, in that you have a quirky young woman and a snarky, love interest, and both of them are feeling a bit disheartened and trying to make some sort of festive atmosphere. And I know that it was the type of thing that I did enjoy when I was younger, and whilst if it had been a film, I would have definitely watched it all the way through at my age now and made snarky comments about it myself, I found that I just didn't have the compulsion to pick the book up and continue reading, which really wasn't what I wanted from the book. And I know that I was reading it because I thought it'd be a fast Christmas read to just bump up my December reading, so that I'd have something to talk about. I also have this want to reread more books, so I thought it was the perfect time to do that. And it turns out that I actually think I have outgrown that book. And I've mentioned this already in my reading vlog, but because I didn't like the book now does not discount the fact that I did like the book when I was younger. And had my sister not wanted to read it as well after me, I'd have been giving the book to my niece, but my sister does want to read it, so I'm keeping the book and she can have a glance at it And I do think that there's a possibility of it being something that my mum might enjoy, because my mum isn't one for extremely descriptive passages, and this book is written in the first person perspective, so any description is written in a very stylistic voice. So the voice of the character is telling the story, which means that it's easier to grasp the descriptions, if you get my drift. And anyway, this has got me to thinking that do you think it's entirely possible to outgrow books? I used to reread the Harry Potter series every single year. I had plans to read it this December. I was going to start at book 2, because I listened to the first book when I was ill last time in about August, and so I was gonna read the second book, third book, and then continue, and that hasn't happened, and I don't know whether it will. And I haven't reread the series through for maybe 2 or 3 years. I'm not sure whether it might have actually been before I started BookTube. And I can remember, oh Lord, this van behind me is quite loud. But I can remember definitely one year starting at the 4th book, reading the final 4 books, and then thinking, do you know what, let's go back and read the first 3, and doing it that way. But I don't think I've outgrown those books. I have every wish to reread them at some point, but I don't necessarily have this wish to reread them as much as I once did, and I feel like there are so many other books on my shelves that I would rather reread over them. One year, I did make the plan of rereading 7 books in place of Harry Potter and never did it. And I think there are definite favourites on my shelves that, in hindsight, I wouldn't like as much as I did when I was reading them. I'm going to talk about the Mortal Instruments books now. The Mortal Instruments by Cassandra Clare and the Infernal Devices were some of my favourite books when I was first starting to read from the young adult genre. And they inspired me to write my own urban fantasy novels. But I liked the first 3 books when it was still just a trilogy. And I thought it was nice and dark. And then Cassandra Clare came out with these final 3 books, and I never thought they were doing anything new or different. I didn't think that the threats were really as big. It felt like a very poor sequel, and nothing felt any different to what we'd experienced with the first 3 books. Similarly, I did enjoy the Infernal Devices, but I didn't like Clockwork Angel the first time, and Clockwork Princess frustrated me because I felt like the ending was a bit like a Power Rangers make my monster grow sort of situation. And I think that over time, whilst people think her writing has improved, I feel like it has deteriorated, because most of every single one of her books now will actually end 100 pages before she's ended the book. And it's like, here is where it should end, but instead you've added on all of this extra stuff, trying to wrap stuff up that doesn't need to be wrapped up yet. And I feel like I have definitely outgrown those books, and I feel more critical of those books. I really despised Lady Midnight, and I downloaded Lord of Shadows to listen to an audiobook and then returned it because just like, I'll get it out of the library. I'm not wasting this Audible credit on this book that I might not even enjoy. And I kind of think that I wouldn't enjoy it because I've seen some spoilers online. I'm like, you're just repeating what you did 10 years ago. She has been criticised so heavily for stealing from Harry Potter and Star Wars, and yet the Magisterium series to me was exactly that. It was exactly like a mixture of like Anakin trying to not become evil. It was kind of similar to Voldemort. It was all of these different things that I just really didn't enjoy in that first book, which was why I never continued the series. And wow, I'm 10 minutes into this video. I'm really sorry about this. And so I think I'm probably need to end this video somewhere with some sort of cohesive thing. But basically, throughout these last few weeks of unhauling books and looking and rereading books, I have discovered that through my rereads, Stardust, I ended up thoroughly enjoying it, and enjoying it more than I did last time, which was about 10 years ago. Children of the Lamp, I ended up disliking more than when I was a child, because I was able to see everything that I thought was wrong with it. Dash and Lily's Book of Dares, similar thing in that I didn't enjoy it as much, but thought that it would still be a good book. And I can look at my shelves and think that there are books on there that I maybe enjoyed a few years ago where I only like them, that I would really severely dislike them now. So I've been getting rid of those. And my shelves are looking a tiny bit bare at the moment. And that is simply because I have been a lot of separating the wheat from the chaff and thinking about what I really want to read and really focusing on that. And I have a very large box of books, and I might have shown it by the time this video goes online. I might not. But basically, I filmed an unhaul. You will be seeing that I have unhauled more books since I recorded that, because it made me look at my shelves again, and I was like, yeah, let's get rid of these as well. And I think that unhauling is going to be a constant process for me, and I think that I plan on rereading a lot of books in 2018, and I think that that reread is really going to push me to be unhauling a few more books. And there are some books that I definitely want to get through before some others, because they are definite books that I think might be given away, because I feel like I am definitely not going to enjoy them as much as I did way back when I first read them. Anyway, what are your opinions? Do you think that it is possible to outgrow books? Do you think I'm being completely stupid and more of a book snob than I have ever sounded before? If yes, please feel free to comment in the comments. I hope you enjoyed this video, and until next time, that is all.